Welcome to episode 270 of the Michelle Pascoe Hospitality Podcast. And I am Michelle. Welcome back to this episode. And if you've been enjoying the school holidays as well as Easter, it is that little bit calmness after the storm. But tomorrow in Australia, we celebrate, or on Friday, the 25th of April, we celebrate and acknowledge those who have served and continue to serve with our ANZAC Day, with ourselves here in Australia and our very close allies and very good friends from New Zealand. So I wanted to have a conversation in this episode all about leadership, because that's one area that I've been working with now with my clients for 30 years, but also not just working with my clients' leaders, but also in other organizations. And of course, myself as a leader with my own team over these last 3 decades. And what's always interesting is there's still that question, whether you're a leader or you're a manager. And I see that role as being many parts being a leader. And one of them is managing people. And sometimes we may have the skill set to be a leader and have that authority or that decision making or those skills that make us the best person chosen for that role. But managing people, wow, that's a whole other kettle of fish. And if you are in that role, I'm sure you would agree that it doesn't come with an instruction book. Sometimes you have to navigate your way through it. But what's most important is that you share how you're feeling. Unlike what it has been like in the past decades, we are now seeking in the workforce, or our teams are now seeking in the workforce, leaders that show the true personality. They show that they are kind, that they care, that they model the behaviors and the attributes of the values of the organization, and that they share the vision on a continual basis, letting know the team where they're up to. Just take for a moment, for many that are in the workforce, and certainly by 2030, Gen Z will be 30% of the community, 30% of our employees, and 30% of our customers, according to the latest research. But with that 30%, in the workforce, they have always had this group mentality. And not saying the other generations don't, but certainly with Gen Z. So they're looking for their leaders to share their stories, their information, because they're on the journey together. What they're looking for, well, not just them, but all team members are looking for, is a leader that they can trust. It is a leader who empowers them. It is a leader who shows kindness. It's a leader who also practices gratitude. That is key for them. And that they have this greater impact on their team when they show those defining points about them, more so than other leaders who don't. But leadership, like what we are acknowledging on our ANZAC Day, is leaders in war, yes, but there's leaders not always been at the front or who have the gold insignia, so to speak. They are leaders from the side and from the back. And we see that ourselves on the hospitality industry, if I can use that as an example, but in all industries, that we look for our leaders. Yes, we know who they are. They're the supervisors, the duty managers, the CSMs, the managers, team leaders. But there's also, I feel, those leaders who are on the front line, who may not have the title or the specific role as a leader, but they know that their role is important, and working together with others and to encourage everyone to show up and be their absolute best for the patrons, the members, the guests, not only today, but in the future, then they lead from their existing role. And it's always wonderful to see. For example, I was at a venue a few weeks ago. I walked out and there was a whole, probably about 20 odd tables that were messy. They had cups and saucers and paper, and seats were all a muddle. And it would have been quite easy when I walked over to the bar where there were 2 young guys working and said, "Oh my goodness, there's nowhere to sit. It's a bit of a mess." Now, I have on occasions been told, oh, well, the cleaner will be in the next half hour. Well, that's great. But instead, what one of them did was, oh, I'm so sorry, I haven't had a chance, went out there and did that role. And to me, that is taking that leadership. Not only are they fixing the solution straight away, and it may only seem minor to you, but when the tables are dirty, it just looks like people don't care. That's the standard that you're accepting, and it's a very poor standard. But it also showed the other staff member that that's what it's about. It's leading from even that frontline role, taking on those responsibilities. It's also leading when there may be issues with the frontline team when it comes to handling customers. Do they step up and assist before it gets to a situation when they have to call a manager? There are many there who do that role beautifully. But leadership can also be about that caring point, can't it? It's leadership when you're a frontline person and you see that somebody's just not themselves, and it's taking that time. Yes, you could say to the manager, oh, they don't seem right, or they're not pulling their weight, but instead taking that leadership role and asking them how they are, having that one-on-one conversation. See, to me, as I've said at the start, leadership is not just about the title. Leadership is about how you show up to work, how you connect with your other team members, and of course, your members and guests, your patrons. That, to me, is that whole gamut of leadership. It just doesn't have to be the title. So I asked you, as I finish this episode, is what is your leadership style? Who are those in your team that have the potential, but don't always see it in themselves? How can you encourage them and support them on their journey in leadership? And also just take a moment to acknowledge those on the frontline team who have stepped into that leadership role without the title because they have done something without having to be told. They've taken that initiative or connected with another team member to ensure that the work experience, that internal customer experience, is just as important as the external customer service. Take care, everyone. I look forward to you joining me next week where I have an amazing guest. So listen out for that. Take care for this long weekend for the ANZAC Day. And of course, remembering those, I have a strong affiliation with the military throughout my great-grandfather going to the Boer War, in that remembering those who serve and continue to serve to keep our country safe and secure. Bye. If you found value in this episode, please take a moment to follow the podcast and leave a review. That would be amazing. It truly helps more hospitality professionals just like you to discover these conversations. And if you're ready to strengthen your leadership team or elevate your customer service experience, I'd love to support you. Head to michellepascoe.com to learn more about how we can work together. Until next time, keep leading with purpose, passion, and service.